What's up, y'all? Today, we are talking about how Christian men need to practice abstaining from sex. Now, this is specifically for the men, right? Because I got a little bit of understanding when it comes to the men, right? And when it comes to abstaining from sex. I actually started to abstain back in 2014, right? That's when I started. Actually, I told myself in God in 2013, but I didn't actually start until 2014. And I went through the ups and downs of that. I basically started to abstain back in 2014, February 24th. But then I fell in June 2016, y'all. And then I kept falling. I'm gonna keep it real. I did. I'm gonna keep it real with y'all on this channel, man. I fell from June 2016, and then I stopped again December 2017. So just imagine that. But ever since then, y'all, since December 2017, y'all, I have not had sexual intercourse with nobody. Now, it hasn't been easy. I have been weak, but I've studied myself, right? So I know a little something when it comes to the men, and I also know how we men are affected. Now, a lot of people will say that, well, it's not just this, and a man ain't just this, and a woman ain't just this. But I want to speak on our biological selves and our psychological selves and how God created us, right? Because yes, there's so many boundaries that we need to put in place. Sorry, y'all, my allergies are bothering me a lot today. But there's so many boundaries and perimeters that we need to put in place to keep us safe and to help us while we abstain during this abstaining journey that we're having until we get married, right? But what I've learned, and I know y'all heard it too, that men are pulled and attracted by what we see, right? Our weakness is through our eyes. And you know what's crazy? I learned that when you look in the Bible, you can actually see that, y'all. Like, yes, put all these boundaries in. Make sure you're not going to the wrong places. Make sure you're not doing the wrong things. You're not with the wrong people or the people that used to live that lifestyle. Make sure that you're not saying things. Make sure that you're not listening to music that can pull you in this area. Make sure that you ain't doing things and all of this, right? But what's the root of that, right? And I know the root could be so many other things when it comes to like family, trauma, whatever. But what is it that pulls on men the most? And I know it's said a lot that it's our eyes, right? And that it's women's ears, but it's the men's eyes. It's what we see that entices us. It's what we see that causes us to fall a lot of times, right? But you know what's crazy? And I know a lot of y'all might argue this, but please hear me out, man. Hear me out and understand, right? Please try to understand what I'm saying. But you know what's crazy, y'all? When you look in the Bible, that's the same thing that happens with the men. What am I talking about? When you look at Adam, y'all, when you take a deeper look into what happened in the Bible and everything with Adam and just other men in the Bible, think about it. Think about it, y'all. When Eve was presented to Adam, she never said a word to him, did she? But he spoke to her. She never said nothing, but it says that he saw her. When you look at that picture, when God presented Eve to Adam, she never said a word to him. He saw her and called her his wife and said, flesh of my flesh, bones of my bones, right? He saw her. She never said a word to him. This is what he saw. Now, when you go to the picture when Eve was at the tree talking to the serpent, notice what I said? She was speaking to. But when you look at that picture, right, you also see where it says, and Adam was with her. And she gave some to her husband who was with her, or the man that was with her. Notice, it never says that she said anything to him. He saw what she gave him. Now, you can see that picture. Nothing was ever said to Adam. Now, when you look at David, it says that he saw Bathsheba, right? Bathsheba never said anything. When you look in these stories, a lot of times, it's not what was said to the men. It's what they saw. Think about it also good and bad when you see Boaz. When you look at the story with Ruth and Boaz, Boaz noticed Ruth. He saw Ruth. She never said a word to him. So again, this can go good and bad. So what I've learned is, and when we look at ourselves, fellas, I've noticed, and obviously science says it, but the Bible shows it is what I'm trying to show. Like science says it, Psychologists and researchers have definitely have a lot of data on this, have a lot of research on this. But when you look in the Bible, even though it's research on this, and a lot of people want to fight it, it is research on it. But what's crazy is it's in the Bible how much we were pulled by what we saw, how the enemy used what we saw in women. What enticed us? He used it as our weakness, right? So yes, it can be our strength, but it can also be our weakness. We can be weak to what we see, y'all. So because we are weak by the eyes, because we are enticed by what we see, especially when it comes to a woman, when it comes to her body, when it comes to how she looks, when it comes to her beauty, that means for us to abstain from sex, we need to put perimeters and boundaries and protection around what we see, fellas. We need to put things in place that protect us from what we see to keep us strong while we're abstaining, y'all. So what does that mean? Yes, we make sure that we don't go to certain places because, and I always bring up the club, and I'm gonna bring up the club because of that as well, right? Think about it. And this happened with me, and I know it happens with the fellas. Y'all can't act like it don't be fronting over there. Don't be fronting over there like you ain't going to the club and the first thing you thinking about is what you saw. Yo, she bad. Yo, she got the body. It ain't nothing about what she said to you. It's about what you saw, right? And even if she start talking to you, you still thinking about what you saw and how her body is. You understand? And how she looks. Even if her body ain't as bad as you think, how she looks is what got you. And here's another thing. Here's another reason. I just want to add this in. Here's another thing, y'all. And this going to be a little bit, it's going to be a little adult rated, right here. When we have sex, fellas, it's like this that we can get excited and we can get turned on by women because of what we saw, right? We get turned on like this, boom, just because of what we saw in this woman, right? It don't take no time for us to get excited and ready to have sex because of what we saw. I'm gonna add that in there because that's true, because with women it take a little bit longer. Now, I'm not saying this to be lusty. I'm saying this for understanding, y'all. So please understand what I'm saying. It takes women a little bit longer to get excited, but why is that? I'm gonna talk about that in the next video. But for the fellas though, we get excited like that. We get turned on and attracted like that because of what we saw, fellas. You understand what I'm saying? So we are weak by what we saw. So therefore, we have to be careful while we're abstaining with the things that we see. Yes, I don't think we should go to the clubs, fellas, because of how the women look, because of how the women dress, because of how the women are acting with their bodies, shaking them and gyrating, like the old men say, gyrating and all that, because of how they are shaped, my good brother. That's all we care about. That's a fact. So what do? I keep it away. I remove that. Also, we got to be careful with what we watch on TV, what we watch on YouTube, what we watch on Instagram, what we watch on TikTok, what we watch on Facebook, fellas. And I know that can be very hard, especially with the little setup or the settings that they got set up. And sometimes it's hard for us to remove a bunch of followers if we've been following certain people for an amount of years and Instagram keeps stopping you from following a certain amount of people. I know it can be hard, but at the same time, we got to put it in place. So if it's hard to delete all of that, then we can delete a picture when it pop up. We can scroll, whatever it is. We can unfollow the people. That's what I do sometimes. When I see something that entices me or that'll make me feel away, or I see a woman dressed away and I didn't know I was following this person anymore, or whatever it was, I'll immediately go to their joint, unfollow it, right? Or delete it or whatever it is. I'm going to do that because I know what happens. I know that I wasn't thinking about nothing at the time. I'm just chilling. I get on Instagram, scroll, see a woman. Now it's in my mind. I wasn't even thinking about it at all, but all of a sudden it's in my mind because of what I saw. That's how the enemy plants seeds. That's what happens immediately. It gets in your mind when you wasn't even thinking about it as soon as it pops up. Also, we got to challenge ourselves, fellas. Now, this one right here is kind of hard, man. So when it comes to abstaining from sex, again, yes, we could do all the other things that people tell us to do, but we need to make sure that we're doing things to protect our eyes. Yes, we got to make sure that we're not speaking away and a woman is not speaking away to us Yes, we got to make sure we're not hearing certain music, fellas, like sex songs or songs about sex. But at the same time, we need to be careful about what we see, fellas. So just like if we remove stuff, or remove the women on our pages, or unfollow the women because of how they're dressed or because of their bodies or whatever it is that might cause a weakness, that's the same thing we got to do when we see women. Now, I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. Y'all know I'm always keep it. This is my weakness. When we walking past a woman, my man, when we walking past a woman and we know she look good, and we, you know what I'm saying? We know she look good, and when she walk by us and we want to look back, me, bro, that's one of my weaknesses. I am gonna front. That's one of my weaknesses, y'all. I'm still learning how to do that. The other things might be easier, but that one right there is a little bit harder for me. So y'all pray for me, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I need God to help me with that. I don't do it like I used to, but I still do it more than I want to do it, right? But I think we should challenge ourselves in that type of situation to not look back, right? When women walk past, we don't got to do that. Try to keep our eyes focused on something else, my good brother, because looking at that can also bring that into our mind. During this time while we are abstaining from sex and waiting until marriage, we have got to try to be as strong as possible. And that brings me into this other thing as well. When we get into relationships, while trying to even court a woman, we need to be wise by the woman that we choose. Because if we choose a woman, and think about it, you start talking to a girl and then she on IG, but she showing her body on IG, bro. That might not be the best decision to make, especially while you're abstaining, especially if you want a godly wife. I'm gonna keep it real. Does that look like a godly wife? Because if she's doing it right now, my man, which is enticing you, what is she gonna do when you're married, my good bro? Because now she's revealing this to the world. Where's the restraint? Where's her strength? Because you gotta be careful with the women that you choose too, because it's not only just you. She has to be willing to walk this walk with you, because she has to be abstaining as well. And if she's abstaining as well, then she needs to be trying to keep you strong as well with the things that she does, especially if she knows that's your weakness, or you know that's your weakness, or just in general, her knowing men's weaknesses, right? She needs to be able to try to keep you strong, because both of y'all need to help one another, especially if she's a helper. You need to know that she's there helping you as well, because y'all are both abstaining. You cannot say that, oh, that's just my responsibility. It is not just your responsibility. If that was true, then God would just tell one person that's your responsibility. But he doesn't. He tells us to help others, right? Because if it was just another person's responsibility or just mine, then God would say, then I need to focus on me and what I do. But that's not what he says. He tells me to help others. And the Bible tells us not to cause another believer to fall. And that's talking about that in any type of way. Not just like praying or things like that, but it's talking about sex. It's talking about anything that goes against God. Like, we help one another. You understand? So be careful with the woman that you choose. Be wise, my good brother, because she got to be willing to walk this walk too. And I do not advise men to get into relationships and try to get that woman to dress away. My good brother, if she's not dressing that way already, or if she's not willing to dress that way in a modest way, then you can't force her. And she's not willing to do it. She's just not there. She doesn't desire it. And you can't make her to desire that just because you want her. That means she's probably not a good choice, and you probably should not choose her, especially during this time, because you're going around her and she's dressing away. Now your mind is in the wrong place. Now you're thinking lustful, and it's not just because of you. Imagine going in front of an alligator, right? Imagine going in front of an alligator. You probably gonna get bit because it's right there, right? So I'm connecting that towards the lustful action, or towards the temptation of it. You get what I'm saying? Because if she's dressing away, then you're trying to have self-control and trying to take your thought away from that because of how she's dressing. When, if she wasn't dressing that way, your mind wouldn't go there just like that. You understand what I'm saying? So that means instead of going in front of the alligator like it won't bite you, now you won't even be near it. You ain't near it, so it can't bite you at all. It can't catch you. The enemy can't catch you slipping. So it's better to choose a woman who's walking this walk and trying to stay strong in every way possible. And she's also helping you stay strong. And you should be trying to do the same thing with her. So you need to have boundaries to put in place just in your regular life before you get into a relationship or marriage. And you got to be willing to choose a woman that's already walking this walk, that's dressing modestly, and that can help you as well as you abstain from sex. It's not just you doing it. You shouldn't be just choosing a woman that it's only you doing something in this area. Both of y'all help each other, and that means in every area. You can't just be choosing a woman that's walking around lusty, but she's saying that she's abstaining from sex. Come on now, bro. That's not wise, bro. And you also gotta make sure that y'all not sending each other these type of pictures as well. Cause I know sometimes you might want to get a picture. Some women, I ain't even gonna lie, I even had in my life before, while I was abstaining, a girl would just send me a picture out the blue, bro. You feel what I'm saying? And it'll be like a side view picture, bro. Booty poking out and all of that. You gotta be careful, homie. So if she sent a picture like that, then you gotta tell her like, nah, you can't do that. Or you cut her off. Me, I'm not the nice guy all the time, so I might just cut a girl off just like that. Right? But I don't think everybody should do what I do all the time. You know what I'm saying? Not in that type of way, because I might do things a little bit, I'm a little bit strong in this area, so it's like, nah, that's dead. But I think sometimes you could communicate it like, hey, I don't think we should do that because you are the leader. We are the leader. So it's like, hey, I don't think you should do that. Let's not do that. Let her know, don't be sending pictures like that, and don't ask her for pictures like that. You understand? You got to be strong in that way, whereas you're not doing none of these things, my man. And I say that because I did this. Just like I said, I had women send that to me. I even remember when I was in a relationship, right, with this girl. She was bad, man, right? And this is when I was getting close to God, and I wasn't fully there yet, so with certain things that I couldn't see yet, but she was bad. She was supposedly walking with God and all that. She was bad, like bad, bro, body bad, right? And then I would go around her and she would have on certain things. And I remember the first time I went to see her, and she had on, the first time, I think she had on something that I wasn't feeling as well. It was a little bit too much. And then I think the second time I saw her, it was something else. And I told her, and I was like, yo, you got to change that, man. Can you please change that? Because her body, I knew how her body was like banging, like they would call an Instagram model, or whatever you want to call it, right? And when I seen her, I was like, yo, can you change that? Or can you put something else on? Because my mind, because you're like, you know what I'm saying? She was, please help me in some type of way. So I led in that area. Now, if she would have fought me, then that's okay. I would have understood the type of woman that she was, but she didn't fight me in that area. You know what I'm saying? And I know she knew that she looked good, and she probably did want to dress away, whatever. But at the same time, it don't even matter, bro. It is what it is, and she was with it. I've had situations like this in a lot of areas, bro. I ain't even gonna front. Like, I've been on FaceTime with women sometimes, and I've seen them, and they might have something on or something showing just a little bit, or just a little bit, whatever. And I would ask them like, hey, can you cover that right there, please? Or can you, move the camera? You know what I'm saying? Like, I would do those things because, for one, that's gonna show her that I'm really about what I say. Two, that's gonna possibly help her to look at that when she's dressing that way around me. And it's gonna show her that I'm actually serious about this abstaining thing, and and she could also see the type of woman I want, the type of woman that I want to be with. And no, I'm not trying to make her be that way, but she needs to see that I'm that way. So if she isn't that way, then she'll recognize it and I'll recognize it. She don't have to do these things. But at the same time, this is my life. And if you want to be that way around me, then you're going to see how I am, because it would be wrong for me to just say, nah, I'm going to cut her off, because I could tell her sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Like again, I could tell her some. Now, I have cut some girls off, like I said, but then some I have told, because I could see there was a little understanding. So I have told them, like, hey, can you cover that? I've done it also just to see how they respond to it, because that's a way that you can see. And then you might even talk about it and bring up God and just see how she thinks about it. But at the end of the day, bro, I think this is the way that Christian men need to practice abstaining from sex because of our weakness. Yes, we need to put boundaries in for all these areas, the things that we do, the places that we go, how much we spend time, all this other stuff, the music, but we also need to pay attention to our eyes. The enemy gonna get us with what we see because he know that's our weakness, and he know that women are our weakness. So how you think he gonna get you? Through a woman. The same way he got Adam, the same way he got David, the same way he got Lot, the same way he got all these people in the Bible, through a woman. That's a fact. You understand now? This don't mean, this is not me trying to say all women are bad, but I'm speaking the truth. This is literally in the Bible, and this is literally what happens with us men every single day. And I'm not about to lie out here because of how people feel. This is the truth, my good brother. I've been abstaining for years. I've been on this journey for years, and I just want to help y'all out. Think about what you see. Be careful what you see. Be careful with the woman you choose and what you see her wearing. Be careful with the things you do, where you go, all of that. Think about your weaknesses, man. About what you see, my good brother, and stay strong, because you want to abstain from sex. And some of us, it may be extremely hard. So why don't you start removing things that you see? Why don't you stop going places? Why don't you stop watching things? Why don't you remove yourself? Matter of fact, go on a social media fast, right? Why don't you start changing who you follow and who you subscribe to on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and all of that, and YouTube? Change your lifestyle up, and then you'll start to change in your life, especially while you're abstaining. Not only, my good brothers, I want to say this before I end the video. Not only will this just help your abstaining journey, but this will bless your marriage, because when you get married, the things that you did before you was married will still come over to your life, will come over into your married life, meaning you will have this restraint and this strength to be faithful, to do all of these things inside of your marriage because you was practicing it outside of your marriage. The same way, the bad things you do that cause you not to abstain from sex will fall and pour and spill over into your marriage. So wouldn't you rather create the good things to bless your marriage and your wife and to honor God than to not do those things and they creep into your marriage over here, right? So let's get into it, man. Let's get to it, brothers. We got to do this, man. I ain't telling y'all nothing that I ain't do, and I ain't telling y'all nothing that ain't in the Bible. We could look at it. We could study it even more. Even from what I said about what happens with the men, it's in so many stories. Guarantee if you keep reading the Bible, you're going to see it. That's a fact. All right. Well, I hope this video blessed y'all, man. If it blessed y'all and y'all liked it, please hit the like button. Please share this, man. And if you like this content, man, please subscribe so that you can continue to get more of these videos. All right. I love y'all, man. I thank y'all. I'm going to get at y'all when I get at y'all.